Vice President Kamala Harris continues to soar in the polls, momentum and energy reaching historic levels. On the other hand, the Donald Trump campaign floundering, failing, and they had to get out statements like this now. Usually not a good sign for a presidential campaign where you have to get out statements like this. No, JD Vance did not say he had sex with couch cushions. So if you've been following TikTok and a lot of social media, there's been incredible brat memes for Vice President Kamala Harris, Swiftie memes for Kamala Harris, big crowd sizes, energy, incredible music, Gen Z stepping out, registering to vote. And then on the other hand, for Trump and JD Vance, I've been seeing a lot of these videos with couches and JD Vance and couches and romantic music. There was a whole thing there. So JD Vance wanted to make it clear, no, he's not having sex with couch cushions. But let me tell you what is true, and that is following the Republican National Convention, JD Vance now has the lowest approval rating of any VP pick in basically American history. He has a net -6 coming out of the Republican National Convention. And usually people are viewed positively when they just get selected as the VP pick. This is a disaster for Donald Trump. And even Donald Trump's comrades in Russia, in the Putin administration, who were hopeful that Donald Trump was going to pick someone who was going to help Putin and help Russia, while JD Vance may have said those types of things and made statements that he would be Putin's puppet. Even in Russia, they think that JD Vance is such a fake and such a phony and such a fraud that he would be a disaster. So on their media network in Russia, they've got a show that's basically like the equivalent of their Sean Hannity. Their big propaganda network, which is what like Hannity's trying to mimic, is a show by Vladimir Solovyov. And here they are. I'll show you this clip right here. I want to give a hat tip to Julia Davis and all the people who do very hard work at Russian Media Monitor. You can follow them as well on YouTube. But here's a clip that they found. This was just now of the Russian propaganda TV really having serious reservations about JD Vance. They thought JD Vance was going to be their guy, but now they think JD Vance isn't their guy. Here, watch this.
Сексуальные предпочтения, он об этом тоже рассказал.
Но он как раз полюбил женщин.
В юности любил, да, мужчин, теперь стал любить женщин.
Мам, вы что, ну...
Это вот так.
Так может он вернулся как раз?
И поэтому его любовь вдруг к Трампу и к трампийской политике, она меня тоже не особо, там, так сказать, убеждает.
Сейчас, конечно, когда он выбрал вот этого Джеймса Дэвида Венса своим напарником, человек, который меняет все. Имена, веру, убеждения.
Третья фамилия.
В 16 году он Трампа-то Гитлером американским называл. Да. Теперь это его, в общем, главный начальник. Конечно, этот человек быстро переобуется. Очень быстро переобуется в любую, кстати говоря, в сторону, поэтому у него эта склонность есть. И, судя по всему, ну, в морской пехоте красивая у него фотография, да, но прослужил он вроде бы там полгода. Был, да? Да, полгодика прослужил. Вот я воплоти, я американская мечта. Из бедной семьи, из бревенчатой хижины. В 22 году стал сенатором, сейчас буду вице-президентом. А если что случится с товарищем 78-летним, то я вас и возглавлю. Поэтому нет.
Такой hillbilly rules.
У него было все рассчитано. И очень важно, что он сейчас выведет свою жену, она у него азиатка, то есть из Индии, троих детей. То есть прекрасный семьянин, вот, пожалуйста, основная картинка современного консерватора. Консерватора даже не то, что современного, а вот всего консервативное сообщество отсылает это к тем временам, когда Америка была великой, то есть когда Трамп, к чему, собственно, и призывает Трамп. 50-е, 60-е годы, мощь, давайте восстановим.
Тогда никогда вице-президент не мог бы быть бородатым, женатым на женщине из Индии.
Ну да, тогда нет. Но сейчас,
Вообще,
сейчас
бородатый
да.
вице-президент, по-моему, за 100 с лишним лет, да, в первый раз?
В 30-е годы.
Ну, как раз 100 с лишним лет. Ну, около 100. Потому что классика говорила, что
бородатые президенты
уровень
были.
доверия падает.
На мой взгляд, приход Трампа все равно обостряет ситуацию в Соединенных Штатах. Вот так или иначе, демократы
Не, гражданская война неизбежна.
демократы этого не простят. Они будут бороться с Трампом любыми методами.
У консервативных контрэлит, которые, в общем, сейчас как-то встали за Трампом, у них на самом деле нет никакого другого выхода, кроме действительно войны. Выбор вице-президентом Венса, то есть, я его назвал еще больше Трамп, чем сам Трамп.
Выбор, кстати, совершенно гениальный.
Да.
То есть для него, потому что говорят, вы меня хотите убить,
Да,
вот кого вы получите.
да.
Вам будет еще
вот
страшнее.
этот будет вместо меня. Так что тут, конечно, явно уже такого вице-президента не берут, чтобы выиграть там какие-нибудь голоса. В этом смысле либералы очень быстро все считают. Такого вице-президента берут для того, чтобы выиграть войну. Это, в общем, война. Ну, тут, так сказать, какого она будет масштаба, посмотрим, но это война.
Now, one of the things that you may have heard there is that they call Donald Trump their comrade, and they obviously want in Russia a VP pick that will be helpful to Vladimir Putin. They believe that Trump's going to do their bidding and do whatever they want, but they just think that JD Vance is very fickle. And that one of the things they mentioned too there, which I wasn't even sure what they were talking about, so I just had to do a little bit of Google search. So you go to The Advocate, they did an article on this back on yesterday, July 23rd, 2024, how JD Vance went from thinking he was gay and changing his name twice to being an anti-LGBTQ plus extremist. Donald Trump's vice presidential pick reinvented himself repeatedly. Ohio Republican J.D. Vance journey from a troubled childhood in Appalachia, although he's not really from Appalachia. He grew up in the suburbs in Ohio. To the halls of the Senate that's his story. Then it says, yet his contradictory stance on LGBTQ plus rights is coming under scrutiny. Vance's memoir, Hillbilly Elegy, contains a revealing anecdote about his childhood belief that he was gay. Influenced, however, by a preacher's condemnation of homosexuality, young Vance feared he was destined for hell because he disliked girls and cherished his friendship with another boy right there. And of course, we've shown you clips before of JD Vance where he's, called Donald Trump America's Hitler. He called Donald Trump a cynical asshole. He called Donald Trump a moral disaster, reprehensible. Can't stomach him, noxious demagogue. I never liked Donald Trump. I don't think Donald Trump cares about folks. I'm a never Trumper. Trump's terrible. He's a terrible candidate. He's leading the white working class to a very dark place. I'm not going to play all of those clips, but here's a clip of before. He literally reinvented himself. He became a different person and then kissed Donald Trump's ass. Here, take a look at this clip from just a few years back before he changed his whole personality. Play the clip.
I think what Trump is not just doing, certainly he's exploiting some of the racism that's there, but he's also exploiting people's fears and pointing it in a direction that maybe they wouldn't go on their own. So I think it's both that Trump is drawing on something, but more importantly, I think that he's leading people in a very dark direction, and that's ultimately what worries me the most.
And then so what changed is he kissed Donald Trump's ass. So Trump was asked recently on American propaganda and Trump propaganda network on Fox why he picked JD Vance. Why'd you pick this guy? And Trump's like, because he said he likes me. He likes me. Here, watch this.
Why did you pick JD Vance?
We've always had a good chemistry, and originally JD was probably not for me, but he didn't know me. And then when we got to know each other, he liked me maybe more than anybody liked me, and he would stick up for me, and he'd fight for the worker as much as I fight for the worker. We just had an automatic chemistry.
And then 2 years before that, when J.D. Vance was running for the Senate seat in Ohio, against a far better candidate, by the way, Donald Trump was at the rally in Ohio and basically said, look, I'm supporting J.D. Vance now because he kisses my ass. That's why, the only reason I'm supporting him. You kiss my ass. Right here, watch this.
JD is kissing my ass. He wants my support.
And this is just some very, very weird behavior. And then J.D. Vance went on to be a senator. And as he was running and he was changing his personality, he then attacked women. He said that one of the biggest threats to America is childless cat ladies. He said, here, play this clip.
saying is that we're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made, and so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. And it's just a basic fact. You look at Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, the entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children. And how does it make any sense that we've turned our country over to people who don't really have a direct stake in it?
And speaking of JD Vance just being a total phony, he's really not even from Appalachia, worked in Silicon Valley, then wrote Hillbilly Elegy, and like people who were in his neighborhood was like, he's not a hillbilly. Like, what are you even talking about? So the whole thing was a fraud. Then he creates like a fraud charity in Ohio where he claims he's helping the opioid epidemic, but doesn't give any money to like people or to any actual research. He helps Purdue Pharma by funding a researcher who works with Purdue Pharma actually put OxyContin on the street. The guy is the worst. And by the way, let me just show you this. This was from the debate that Tim Ryan had where he just tore into JD Vance over the defunct anti-drug charity. Watch this.
You know what I haven't done? I didn't start a fake nonprofit pretending like I was going to help people with addiction like JD Vance did. Literally started a nonprofit and didn't spend one nickel on anybody. In fact, he brought in somebody from Purdue Pharma to be the spokesperson for the nonprofit. The same drug company, Big Pharma, the big drug company that had all the pill mills going, got everybody addicted. 1 million people died, JD. 1 million people died, and you started a nonprofit to try to take advantage of people in Ohio, and you know what? All you did with it was launch your political career. His campaign manager worked for that nonprofit. He ran a poll to check his own standing from that nonprofit. I'm not going to take a backseat to you or anybody else on fentanyl, drugs, or immigration or anything else. Somebody that would, what kind of man would start a fake nonprofit to try to deal with addiction and not spend any money on anybody?
You know, and look, I think one of the things here as well is, you know, Donald Trump is in very serious mental decline. Donald Trump's health is very bad. And so the prospect of a JD Vance as president should be terrifying. I mean, should be terrifying. By the way, JD Vance, this was just announced today, and wrote the foreword to the book that was released by Kevin Roberts, the guy who started Project 2025, the leader of Project 2025. The original title of the book changed as well. The book title is now called Dawn Early Light, Taking Back Washington to Save America. The original title of it was Dawn's Early Light, Burning Down Washington to Save America. Burning down Washington. And here's JD Vance saying, Dawn Early Light by Kevin Roberts is available. I was thrilled to write the foreword for this incredible book, which contains a bold new vision for the future of conservatism in America. Like literally burning down Washington, D.C. And by the way, but here's Donald Trump in really serious cognitive decline. Like it's a real serious issue. JD Vance as the president of the United States. I mean, Trump would be. Who's worse? They're both equally dangerous. Here, play this clip.
And my stupid people, when I wanted to refute it, they said, "Sir, don't dignify it with a rebuttal."
Have you been noticing peculiar behavior recently in someone you know?
Carried out by rape.
Someone who mixes fiction and reality?
The late, great Hannibal Lecter. He's a wonderful man.
Perhaps someone of advanced age you have known for years.
Did you just see Maduro? Venezuela, it's unbelievable. Venezuela.
Of course, we all have our goofs. But consistently odd behavior can be a sign of frontotemporal dementia, a degenerative disease of the frontal and temporal lobes of the brain that dramatically impairs cognitive function. And there are some key signs to look out for, like slurring words.
The failing New York Times by anonymous, really anonymous.
Struggling to find the correct words is another sign.
The Mueller report, I wish, covered the oranges of the investigation.
You may also notice someone veering into incoherent ideas, detached from reality.
You know what I'd do if there was a shark or you get electrocuted? I'll take electrocution every single time. I'm not getting near the shark.
Or an inability to complete simple sentences.
Saudi Arabia and Russia,
Will repeat you.
Other notable symptoms include impaired motor function, such as a wavering limb, and decreased balance, often accompanied by a signature lean or arched stance. If someone you know is demonstrating several or all of these symptoms, they are seriously unwell. As a matter of safety, they must be relieved of critical responsibilities and disqualified from any position of authority. Remember, frontotemporal dementia is a degenerative disease. Cognitive function will never return and will only deteriorate further. Don't ignore the signs.
And of course, this was JD Vance's speech this week about Mountain Dew. Here, play this clip.
It is the weirdest thing to me. Democrats say that it is racist to believe, well, they say it's racist to do anything. I had a Diet Mountain Dew yesterday and one today. I'm sure they're going to call that racist too, but it's good. I love you guys. But
so it's not a shock to me that you have Harris leading in the Reuters Ipsos poll, Harris leading in the new Morris poll. I mean, the more people know about this JD Vance guy, it's wild. And the fact that Russia's back channel communications with Trump, that's some weird stuff. But hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million together. Thanks for watching.
Hey, Midas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.